Hi y'all, it's Bree. I wanted to make this first video to sort of introduce myself to everyone that might help me along this journey. I want to first tell you a little bit about sort of my identities, who I am, the things that I have going on in terms of mental health, and some of the strategies that I've used to try and help me with them. So first, like I said, I'm Bree. I am a graduate student. I study public policy and social theory. My two focuses are sort of education policy, and identity theory, and that sort of loops in social psychology, sociology of knowledge, phenomenology is a big thing that I am fascinated by and that I integrate into a lot of my research. And I can talk about all of that stuff if anyone's interested in hearing me talk about any of that. I have two cats. This is Penelope. I've had her for... I've had you for like a year and a half, huh, Bug? Yeah. She's a cutie, but she's my pain in the ass. Of course, because cats are. Go, leave me alone for a little bit. My other cat's name is Jean-Philippe. I am transgender, non-binary. I don't present as femme as I would like to, because I have lots of sort of ingrained fears about my gender presentation. I mean, I'm 6'5" and big and, you know, all of that, so it feels a little scary sometimes. I'm asexual, which is a thing that I discovered about myself a few years ago, and it sort of helped me understand a lot of the things that I was thinking and feeling and doing, but I'm panromantic. Like, I sort of develop crushes on people of all genders, which is not to say, like, everyone, but a person's gender matters less. A person's gender doesn't really factor into whether or not I'm going to develop a crush on them. I guess I would say I'm sort of gay of center, I guess. So, the second thing is my mental health, and part of the reason why I wanted to make this whole thing is because I struggle a lot with the idea that I'm seen and that people see me. It sort of connects with the first big thing, which is that I have borderline personality disorder. Also, I have bipolar, so I sort of swing from wild manic days where I clean my whole apartment and can't sit still, and the idea that I'm gonna be here all day in my apartment makes me completely nuts, to, in the past, I've had depressive episodes where I spent weeks not getting out of bed, where I skipped class, where I called out of work, where I literally didn't do anything, and it was tough. I struggle with food stuff. That's really hard. I've never been diagnosed with anything having to do with that, but I've had doctors tell me that they're worried about it, so that's sort of a thing. I'll probably end up, I don't know, I post a lot of pictures of like the things that I cook in my story and stuff like that, so that's a thing. I recently started having sort of family dinners on Sunday evenings to get the people who are closest to me and the people who are part of my chosen family together, so that I can feel a little bit more of that like sort of sense of family that I always had when I was a kid. And then finally, I have crazy amounts of dysphoria, hence me being trans. And it took me a long time to even acknowledge that I was allowed to use that word, because even though I felt all of this dysphoria, and even though I looked in the mirror and I just like didn't even know who I was looking at, and there were so many things that I looked at and I knew that they were just wrong about me, but even though all of that stuff happened, I felt for a long time like I wasn't allowed to call myself trans because I'm not a woman. I'm not a trans woman. I'm non-binary, and I know that I'm non-binary. So, maybe that'll be part of this journey too. And then finally, I just want to talk about some of the things that I've done to try and help myself. First, I use they, them pronouns, so that has been a big part of helping me deal with like some of my social dysphoria. When folks use my pronouns, it is comfortable. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel seen. Again, it helps me feel seen. So that's a big thing in that. I have a really wonderful best friend slash chosen sister who works really hard to help me do things like when we go out dancing and stuff like that. So that's been really awesome. But in terms of all the other stuff, I did dialectical behavioral therapy classes for a couple of years, and I learned a lot of skills there, and I also was going through a really rough period in my life, so I ignored a lot of the skills, which I now learned to use again. So that was really awesome, and one of the things that I did in there was to learn this idea of like building mastery, right? Step one for me was getting my medicine straightened out. Once I got my medicine straightened out, that like put me at a solid baseline where I could actually start to work on the things that weren't chemical. I have ADHD, they put me on ADHD meds, and that was like, it was like clearing a fog out of my brain, and I was able to be productive and think straight. And I know that I'm smart, and lots of people tell me that I'm smart, but I always felt like I was faking, and that even though I like could cerebrally process things, I couldn't have been like that worthy of praise because I struggled with so many other things. Well, I got on ADHD meds, and now I can just do things, and that's awesome. And also they got me dialed in on meds for my bipolar, and that has just let me be level, so I don't go do like self-destructive things anymore. I don't get super manic and go days at a time without sleep. I'm not doing the things that are bad for me because I'm manic. I'm trying really hard not to do the things that are bad for me. General life statement. And that leads me to the last sort of thing that I've been doing, which is building mastery. In DBT, in CBT, there's a bunch of different like therapy type methodologies that have this idea of building mastery, where you find little things and you do those little things, and when you're successful doing those little things, you can do bigger things because you feel more confident in your ability to do the little things. And you just keep doing this, and you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you're able to do things that literally you never thought you'd be able to do before. I started with simple things, right? I wake up every morning, I swing my feet out of bed, I take my meds. It's the first thing I do. Now I have started doing a skincare routine. I do one routine in the morning, and then I do a different routine at night. And although I haven't done it in a couple of days because I've had a hard couple of days, but my skin has been like responding really well to it, and I've been like very pleased with the results I've been getting, aside from a couple of little spots. That's been great, and it's been making me feel good, and it's been giving me a routine, and it's something that I do that lets me know that I can actually accomplish things. Another thing that I've been trying to do as part of my skill building mastery process is that I am publishing 220 of my photographs on Instagram this year. Part of why I'm doing 220 is because doing 2020 is totally unreasonable. And also, I just can't set myself on that, which means that doing 220 means that if I have a bad week, like I had a bad week recently and I didn't put any pictures up, I have like that wiggle room, right? So I've got 146 days this year that I don't have to put a picture up. And that sort of gives me permission to be able to, when I'm having the kind of day that I just need to concentrate on little things for my building mastery, that I can. I'll put a link to my Instagram in the description of this video, I guess, and if you want to follow me there and comment on my photos and tell me what you'd like me to take pictures of, or even if you'd like me to come take pictures of you, let me know. I'm always looking for people and things to practice taking pictures of and to learn more and to get better. In the interest of getting better, be kind to yourself, build good habits, and have a wonderful day. Thanks!